Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo. Toad mode got me
Oh my,
tripping
what
today.
what happened to you, bro?
Toad
Bro.
mode got me all over the place.
Toad mode got you fucked up, bro.
I hadn't even played it, but I was watching the video footage and I'm like, dude, this looks like I'm gonna be sick.
It is ridiculous, to say the least. In a good
I'll
way,
be
I think.
Like back in the day, I want to say on N64. Maybe I'm dating myself there, but man, we were grinding these like fast movement games at the time. And dude, my like senses or something always got like completely fucked by those. So I'm like, oh, I'm so screwed, dude. I'm gonna be like puking as I play. I gotta lick more toads. Oh god.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like it definitely, it definitely feels, like you're rocking. You're tripping out, bro. Something's happening. But I like it though. It kind of it levels the playing field, because like you think about it, like we had those videos. I can't speak today. We had those videos of like Mongrel sitting down, like grinding at the LA Apes show or whatever, and he's like super in the zone. You can try to be in the zone in this thing, but with the amount of like just trippy effects on that shit, like, good luck, man. Good luck. I mean, some people are gonna pull it off. It's still gonna happen, but I feel like it levels the playing field a lot.
And the toad section is the toad section completely random too? Like, do we feel like that's like you could be shit at the game and like run into toads? Would you feel like that's
I feel like
you could also be really good at the game and miss every toad you try and get. So
right.
It's definitely more luck based on this one than skill based. Looks like I just got a captain's.
Oh, heyo, live on BoredTV.
Number 7.
So, what do you think the minimum toad score will be to be top 2,000, which is what you have to be for the licking of the toad or the grabbing of the toad?
Wait, say that again. What was the question?
What do you think the minimum score to be in top 2,000 in toad mode to get that companion is by the end of it?
I have no idea. And I feel like it's too early to call that.
I feel like it's going to be like 10K plus at this point.
Yeah.
God.
I don't even know if that's possible. But it's like the weird thing is like it's a time constraint, right?
Yeah,
so like
right.
Your best chance of getting that high score is tier 4 pass power shard. That combo is like your ticket to a much higher score. And so I haven't tried it with a power shard yet. I was going to kind of maybe try it out and see how it goes. I think it encourages, this is their experimental phase, right? Like they're like trying shit. They gotta, how can we use the token and create different ways to, entice people to spend it. And I feel like this is one of them, right? With the whole same boost as last time, higher rarity fragments, yada, 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 yada. But somebody could essentially go through and farm or try to farm like 9 runs off of one power shard pack.
Right.
But you see like how the way that it starts, when it starts at 30 seconds and goes to 1 minute and 5, that's one less run you get to do.
By design, you figure?
Yeah, I think I mean, why not just say, here, we're going to start you off in toad mode.
Yeah. Right.
Right? I mean, the first minute is, absolute toad insanity or something like that, right? I mean, I don't know. It could be dumb, but I think it's intentional. I think 30 seconds to 1 minute and 5 was very, very intentional.
My question to you,
I'm curious to see how much, how many people decide to spend power shard packs this time. And then based off of Garga's tweet earlier, seems like this is literally just a trait box, like Coda, yes, no. It'll be like companion, yes, no, on our normal power sources, which I think is interesting. And I'm not sure everybody like fully gets that. I think a lot of people are like, oh, it's a companion. It's going to be like a dog, like a separate NFT. But I don't think it seems that
I
way.
wouldn't be surprised though if at some point in the future you could decouple it though, or if it just comes out as a separate thing, right? I mean,
So yeah, that would almost put the companion worth like the artifact floor, and then the power source could potentially be Coda-ish level, probably less. But
I don't know. You're kind of shooting for the stars on that one, I think.
I'm just trying to think how it's all gonna. I mean, if it can be decoupled,
The
it's
power
the
source
same
isn't
thing.
going to be worth that because a sewer pass is worth 2 ETH.
What you mean?
Like we're not
I'm
going
talking
to
about the
just magically
companion. Like if you
Yeah.
can pull the companion off, like what would that floor be? Right, like just a little bit above.
Yeah, hard to say.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's all who knows.
There's so much speculation because like we don't even know. Like we know what the power sources are. Well, going to be powering, but at the end of the day, like what's that even mean? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
are we? Is it just up for other side? Like, you know what I mean? There's so much shit that even though we know a lot, we still don't know shit at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But the companions, I'm bullish on them because they're definitely the little fucking dude sitting on the shoulder, right? Like all the shit we've been talking about where you see the different varieties and how they change or whatever, like that's definitely the companion. I'm bullish on the Pokemon looking motherfuckers. That's all I gotta say.
They are pretty cool.
I'm not a Pokemon maxi. So I am now officially gonna run my first Toad mode and puke live on BoredTV, but I'm not gonna share it. Oh, you want to?
Honestly,
I guess I can, but
I think you're better off letting your dog in the background play.
dude, my dog's trying to like dig a hole to China back here and then lay down in it. Dogs, how fun! That's Ava. She's a great. She's gonna circle 7 more times.
You're gonna get comfy.
Getting comfy in the background. Also, I liked that they changed where it's Gary driving the little fucking submarine. I thought that was funny. Like the subtle changes, right? It's just the little things that they did that are different that I appreciate for sure. All right.
For sure.
I'll go ahead and share my screen and I'll make sure to not share the audio because that's absurd when you do that.
For real.
Whoa, this is kind of weird and I hadn't even begun. I haven't played with this damn. Oh, God. So, Will, you're still okay. This is a fucking trip for real. Whoa.
We're lying to you.
I'm definitely going to puke. I'm just kidding. Maybe.
Those are my.
Actually, I might puke watching the glitched version.
Oh shit! Just crashed.
I'm like, this is making me dizzy. Try to watch your screen trip out, and it's like a little bit lagged.
Yeah. 0 Toad points.
Wow, 0 Toad. You're really killing it there, bud.
Listen.
It will last 30 seconds. It will last 30 seconds.
All I gotta do. Are we talking about Toad mode here? Okay.
Yeah, you gotta last 30 seconds to get to Toad mode.
Okay. 30 seconds. I don't know if I can do that.
You get one stretch of freedom.
And it's like sped up or it's just complete chaos, basically.
No, it's not really sped up.
Okay. Jesus Christ almighty.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna have to load one up as well. Let's see. Dude, okay, so what have we got going on? We've got all sorts of happenings going on in the NFT space right now, which is exciting, right? Like we have activity, signs of life. I feel like we've needed this.
We do, yeah. A lot of people are getting wrecked with blur bidding, and then a lot of people making some money, sniping some grails here and there, and then
I think
nice overall to see just a bunch of volume, but like legit.
Well,
volume,
even if it's just a few people that are causing it, I think overall it's like, okay, there's people out there. We have participants that are still, hanging around. There's enough of an incentive where it's like, hey, come test the waters. Obviously proceed with caution. Blur bidding is one hell of a drug. as Bryce can attest to, because you should have seen the messages this boy was
Bro,
sending
I
me
was popping off
on
earlier.
live
I was
after
like,
getting
"What's up?
what's that? No, go ahead and
What
tell
were
your
you
story.
saying?" Oh no, I was getting amped up earlier. I was like rocking the top bid on the O'Peppins or whatever, and I like all of a sudden I refreshed my points, and it was like you got like 7 points in 5 minutes, and then I was just riding a high, and got like almost 50 bid points today, which feels pretty pog.
I mean,
It ain't much, but
that's
it's honest
crushing
work.
it, dude. Honestly, 50
Crushing it
points.
given bag size. I think in total I lost like 0.1 ETH to some bids getting hit and then having to dump, but I'll take it
I think overall it'll age.
for sure.
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people throwing shade saying, "Oh, this is terrible, freaking
Franklin, how
Machi."
could you? Machi, how could you?
I'm like, you know what? Franklin has been very open that he trades apes for a living. Not for a living, but for,
for a
Might as well
living.
be for a living.
I mean, not for a living. He trades apes for life, right? Like,
Yeah.
he ain't gonna give it up. Dude's made his bag. 69 apes. He literally could have been walking to the bank today, like OSF and Mando were, with their $9.9 million in NFTs that they sold. So, it's impressive that they could get to the point where they could even exit like that, right? Like, just to be able to grab that and go in a few
I mean,
clicks.
right? Yeah, before Blur, like it would have taken them probably months to get rid of 71 apes, and they got rid of it in seconds, which is just insane.
It's insane. It really
It
is.
really is.
I think, a lot of people are getting caught up in the fuss. They're saying, "Oh, the floor's bricked. You got too many bid walls on both sides." You got the bid walls to the downside. You've got the people that are flooring NFTs on the ask side, and I think ultimately there's this perception that like, oh, the floors can't move because we're, clashing right now, but that's not the case. Because as soon as there's some sort of catalyst and you have more buy pressure, it will overpower the sell pressure.
Well, that, and you can have Machi and Franklin be like, I don't feel like selling these apes anymore. D-list. I'll dump them on you at 5 ETH higher.
So, but everyone was, speculating that Machi was about to just wreck the floor after he got him, but they don't understand that Machi don't give a shit, and he's not going to just.
Well, yeah, now Machi can just list them at the floor and farm listing points, and he just got a shit ton of bid points. I mean, yeah, Machi's playing this just phenomenally.
Yeah, you get a whole, like, if you're out of the market, right, you have two ways to enter it to get Blur points. You bid or you sweep NFTs to list, right? So if you're bidding, you're getting points. If you're NFT, if you buy an NFT, you just flip it to the other side of that trade, and now you list it and you're getting points. Now, obviously, these spreads are teeny tiny, if not, negative, to the point where the bids are higher than the asks. And so, there's opportunities there if you're looking to pick some stuff up, because people are just taking what they get and they're flipping it right on its head.
Right. But I mean, like Machi has like 20 million, like that's nothing, like whatever, 10 million, $8 million. Like that's like, okay, fuck it. I'll take the apes. Like that's a different, like to me, that's a different sport completely. Like that's not even in the same league. That's like a college player playing in the NFL. Like in college, like Alabama taking on the fucking Patriots or whoever the hell you want to say.
Yeah, sure. I mean, no doubt that he's obviously playing a much different game than all of us are playing, but his, his bag size is larger, so it's just a multiple of his bag size and his risk tolerance, right? I mean, you've got people that can ride the O'Peppin freaking floor top bid 14 deep, Bryce, for like 20 minutes and rake in a bunch of points, where it's like, okay, there's a risk versus reward. How much points do you get And how much do you lose when you have to turn around and dump it for a potential loss if the floor doesn't go up? I mean, it's all this back and forth. It's very much like just straight PvP, people clashing with each other, and those that aren't paying attention or just, if you just load into, like, if you just open up Blur and you're like looking at floors and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a couple of beans or buy a dog or buy a bored ape, like you could potentially be buying a slightly skewed market, right? So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Like, so for example, we have other deeds sitting at around 2 ETH. Leading into the second trip, is other deeds going to be sitting at a 2 ETH floor?
I don't know, maybe.
If I had to put money on it, I would say they're going higher than 2 ETH floor. Like, we aren't going to go down from here because the second trip happened. Hype and excitement builds. People realize, oh, I haven't picked up my other deed yet. And suddenly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like these start getting picked up. People start getting a little more bullish. They're like, you know what, maybe I want to hold on to this instead of just relist it at the floor. And, we start to move upwards. I don't know. It's interesting. It's a whole bunch of just different dynamics that this NFT trading has never seen. So I'm excited for it. I think what's being built is interesting. Not perfect. Not, like obviously it's like fueled by token right now. But I think ultimately, like, once we get to the end of this like massive airdrop farming frenzy, we will reach a point where everyone is comfortable or has at some point used every feature on Blur. And that'll just be the one people are comfortable with. Like, hey, the liquidity's here. Like, that's a huge thing. With the liquidity being on Blur, bids being on Blur, people being able to exit their bags or buy cheaper NFTs on Blur, like, that is a huge selling point for a lot of people. And so your Blur is essentially training people how they want them to behave. Like, hey, we want you to put bids on our platform. Hey, we want you to list NFTs on our platform. Don't list NFTs anywhere else. Hit our little nuke all your listings button, which is, I mean, ridiculous. It's just so total like yesterday. It's scrappy, which is like exciting to see because then it puts more pressure on OpenSea. I don't know. I'm probably biased because I've been liking Blur for a while. But
well, you liked it because the airdrop was massive, though, right?
I liked it before. You can go back and look. I made a video on Other Side about searching through Other Side deeds.
Okay, let me back up.
You marketplace before we even knew that Blur was going to be
worth. We've been using it a while. We liked it before, but then of course the airdrop came, and now I'm like, the Blur.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, of course, right? Like naturally, because.
But I also think for anybody that's coming into this space, like Blur is the best tool. It's the cheapest listings. There's liquidity right there. If you buy it and realize NFT game isn't for me, right? It's way harder to do all that stuff on OpenSea given their current features.
It's an interesting.
I'm honestly under the assumption of even if they release their token or whatever, like it's not going to revive their marketplace unless there's some incentive and they change it in some way. But because I think really the bidding pools in Blur is huge.
What I would say is I want more than one marketplace that's legit though and rocking, because if it just kills off OpenSea, then that's not good either, because then it's just a different monopoly.
I mean, I think we can see with volume on OpenSea still. Like, what's up, Will?
I mean, it's not going to be like the final headshot to OpenSea, right? Like Art Block still has to be traded on OpenSea, which, I mean, to be fair, it is on Blur's roadmap to enable Art Block's trading on their platform, which that actually to me is even more exciting as well, because I got burned real bad on Art Blocks because I didn't have a clear view of what the liquidity was. It wasn't like there was that many buyers. You couldn't really see depth. Like, I feel like ultimately, like, I would be interested to see how much at a time bid depth ever was on OpenSea, strictly because buying or bidding with Weath is a major pain.
Mhm.
You have to go in, you have to swap it, you have to whatever, and then you couldn't. Well, maybe you can now. I don't think you can use Weath to buy on OpenSea still. So it was just like, this is just not ideal. And then the whole system on how you went in and how you put bids and whatever, you had to like sign a transaction every single time you wanted to place a bid or something like that.
Still do.
I mean, you
have to
still
sign it.
do, but like to
Well, I
cancel
mean, you
it,
do
you
on
had to
Blur, too.
pay gas to cancel your bid.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a lot more fluid. It's I don't know. It's a
Competition is good. That's my key.
like
Like we want multiple things, because otherwise it turns into everything else in the world that's monopolied to death.
Yeah, right. We need that Apple versus Android, right?
Correct. So from McDugget, Deeds floors whatevs, but I think it's watch the resources, artifact tier, and coda floors. It will move a lot into the second trip. Thoughts on that? Think floor maybe
I think
stays
when it comes
semi.
to the rare resources and the rare artifacts, definitely like we'll see some move, but the more common resources, I really don't think environment tier will be that interesting unless they kind of show us differences in environment tier during the second trip, like a tier 1 versus a tier 5. I think could potentially spark people to be like, I want the tier 5 over the tier 1 any day of the week.
Didn't they already share that in some of the mock-ups? Like the size is different.
Yeah, environment. But I do think people seeing it in game and being able to run around one, they're going to be like, yo, what?
If you had to completely guess, obviously that we like to speculate here a ton. What do you think, like what should be, maybe not what do you think, but what should their focus be for the second trip? What would you like to see in a second trip from other side, considering it's been since July, I think is when the actual first trip was. So it's been a long time. So what are you like, what would be utopian vision, Bryce, for second trip for you?
I mean, in an ideal world, we get the 3D models of our apes. I think that would just be super sick. I don't think that'll happen second trip, though. I think it'll be just exploring more lands this time. Like the first trip, we got to mess around with controls and fly across the map and whatnot. But we still don't know like our lands and what the whole like island kind of looks like. So I think if they kind of dove into that a little bit more and how you jump from different islands to different islands or different lands to lands, that's probably my best guess. I don't think we're gonna have some ridiculously insane experience.
We're not going to be tripping and licking toads. I definitely think that would be dope even if it was like a larger space that we could go like explore, and it wasn't so like it was a big space last time, but we were all kind of like moving together and like doing different activities. It'd be cool if there was like an event, which I'm sure there will be, something for us to all do together. But then it was like, all right, you have an hour or whatever, 2 hours, and we've opened up boom, 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 and you can go to different lands and check it out. And maybe there's little like this is utopian, by the way. I'm not saying this will happen, or don't come back and say Phil said this was all going to happen. No, I'm not saying that at all. But it'd be cool if there's just little experiences at all these different places. Like, hey, go check out these 5 things that we've set up for you at your leisure. It's going to be open for 12 hours or whatever. Because maybe it's not an hour. Maybe they leave it open a little longer for people. Obviously, time zones matter. And I think that would be pretty cool. Will, what do you think?
It'd be cool if they had a little game for us in there to play.
Yes,
like,
I agree.
Not completely. The big overall, like, fling yourself at this boss, but if it was like, a little mini game or something.
That would be
is that not what Legend of the Mara is? Like, it's not.
We don't know what Legend of the Mara
is. It is a 2D experience. I mean, if their goal ultimately, right, is to become like the App Store platformy type vibe of metaverse stuff, I mean, like, it's everything won't happen on other side, right? Like, not everything needs to have you be in a 3D environment with a character that you're like, operating. True. Right. So like some of it will be launching into like a Dookie Dash. Like you will
you walk up to the arcade machine,
mini games,
like Club Penguin almost, right? Where you could walk into the arcade.
Then and then you could like do that little stupid sled down the hill thing or the whatever. Screen. Yeah.
That'd be cool. That's what McDugget says here. Oh,
excuse me.
I think we'll
Oh,
get
thank you.
several mini games along with the Yuga partners, 10K TF, Ranga, etc. That would be interesting. Definitely 10K TF. I can see them being heavily involved for sure.
Dude, so what's going on with 10KTF? You know, we had like the epic build up last episode where I freaking impulse bought G tags and the floor went up for like 5 seconds, and then like I guess like the party was a rug. Like we were supposed to already have
I saw
had
some
mechas
speculation on
open.
that where it was their big thing was supposed to kind of tie in with the summoning, but since the summoning got pushed back, 10KTF couldn't really go forward with their big thing because it either wouldn't make sense or would be a teaser. So that's the speculation I saw. I really have no clue.
I feel like that's speculation from 10K TF Maxis, to be fair, but I'm not saying it's not true.
10KTF Maxis love their speculation though. It is incredible.
They sure do.
Which I appreciate. I appreciate that. They've
They're
got some
crowned
deep
for
dives, all the deep dives. I still think that G tags will be a good play. I do. I thought they would.
You gonna
I
sweep
really,
some more this stream, Will?
yeah.
No, I'm
I really did think that they would release more information on them last week, though. To be fair, for sure. Another question. Coda with a K, but Coda floor predictions. What do you think? What is your actually? Let's have a quick discussion. Coda's thoughts: bearish, bullish, fair value.
I mean, it's
What
one
do
of
you
those.
think?
They will be the play eventually. I just don't know if they're the play now.
What do you mean by
I mean,
that?
a lot of it just depends on how they build the lore around it. Like, is this Legend of the Mara gonna dive into the history of Codas, or is this something entirely different?
I think
Like,
it's
I don't
definitely Coda related. I would be shocked if it wasn't actually.
I would hope so.
Will, your thoughts?
I blanked out. I'm gonna be
Coda-
completely honest.
Coda predictions. What is your sentiment on Coda's long-term, short-term, medium-term? Maybe some price predictions. Obviously, we don't do a ton of that, but I think they've been running a little bit, but they've been, I would say, steady at the same point. So
I'm gonna be honest. I'm feeling like just in general, I feel like a lot of stuff is kind of run out of steam. Obviously, we're gonna have this excitement leading into second trip. So I could see them pushing up a couple ETH from where they're at. Let's see, maybe what are they at, like 15?
I'll be honest, I haven't looked in like
Coda floor is 13.4, 13.39.
13.4. Okay, so they could maybe push 15, 16. I mean, it's just a hard take. I feel like the biggest excitement for Codas will come when you can decouple them.
Yeah, and then they establish their own floors.
But dude, I tell you, Codas were one hell of a play. I mean, if you bought Codas at 6 ETH instead of
Moonbirds or
50, I mean, Apes didn't go to 100, but here Codas are sitting at more than a 2x. So
this is true.
Let's put it this way. I would love to have more of them, but I just don't know if I'm like pulling the trigger on them right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? They will be a play eventually. I just don't know when. And I don't think second trip is just going to be uber bullish Codas.
Would you say that you're going to be okay with catching, not FOMO, but like waiting to see more and not being afraid of paying a little, not trying to catch the bottom of this run if they ever run? Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those, like, I would rather be a tiny bit late to the party and pay a little bit more than trying to predict and say, this is the bottom, I'm going to buy it right now. There's no shot we go lower.
Look, if they say Codas decouple in 2 weeks, I'm a buyer. Let's just
why? Can you specify why?
Because I feel like that's an exciting, pivotal moment for other side, where it's like, okay, we can finally take a breath of fresh air and separate this collection out. It's been bundled in the other side volume for all this time, which is great, but like I don't know, like I think it's just an extra level of unlock for Codas to be able to stand alone in their own page, right? You know, you go to Bored Ape Yacht Club page, you go to the Mutant Ape page, Kennel Club page, Other Side page, the Coda page, right? Like, I get, I don't know. It's just there's so much to unpack in the Other Side collection that it's like, you know what, just you don't need all of this extra nonsense with like what shirt does the Coda have on when you're looking at rarity for land, right? Like it doesn't mix.
I'd agree.
I'm bullish on the separation of things.
That's fair. That's fair because then they find their like true floor too, right? Because you're not chasing land or vice versa. When we got McDugget thinking and saying obvious play of resources and artifacts brokering is the play over codas.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a fan of that. I own lands that have coda farts on them for that reason because I feel like it's better than trying to just play the floor.
Yeah, I have a land with tier 2 Degradia that I'm like, this better be a money printer.
Man, I'm like, I don't disagree. I think that the resources will be vital naturally because of the way they talk about the game and how they imagine the world. Like, I think it's going to be just like, if you have a ton of resources and if you're diligent and you're very active in that, I think that'll be, I'm not saying you're going to be a millionaire, but there'll be some serious games there and some serious play. I'm just like, and I know I'm tying this back into codas because you mentioned that as well, is I'm still like, man, I could see codas being so massive, but then I could also see like the biggest letdown of all time. Because the way that I read them is that naturally they're going to be massive in the other side. But what does that even mean? Like, what does that do for you? Does it make your life in the other side easier, as in resources are easier to gather, artifacts are easier to make, you can travel faster? If it's doing all of these things, like it's almost like a kind of like the tier 4 versus the tier 1, where it's like a bonus, but for everything you do on the other side, it's just easier to do things potentially. That could be massive. Or is it like, I am like one way or the other. Like I could see it going just both ways. I've thought so many times about selling the second ape to get codas. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've thought about it like entirely too much.
You know, I mean, there's benefits there, right? Like it's always been a decent play that if the ratio between mutants and bored apes became too far apart, it was always a great idea to go ahead and sell an ape for multiple mutant apes.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, okay, but it's not club membership. But I'm more on the side of like, I would rather be on the side of the trade where we get to a point and you actually have some concrete information that says, hey, I think at this price, legitimately, like where everything else in the market is like, these are just so undervalued, versus like rolling into them being like, they might be fairly valued, because then you're kind of in that frothy zone. And it's just like, I would rather like a clear signal. Like, let's roll up one day and be like, holy crap, resources were, totally the play and they're undervalued. Then you're like, okay, now that you can like make an educated decision, because it's like, it's just too easy to go off and speculate and blow ETH on something that it's like hard to really get out. Right. So until you know that you can like get your ETH back out of that purchase, it's like, I don't know. It's too much to think about, in my opinion.
The way you just said that actually made more sense to me, believe it or not. And I know it was simple, but like resources, for example, if you were going to go, I'm going to spend the same amount of ETH on resources or codas. Let's just say 2 codas or however many resource lands I can get, right? Resources, it's like I would say close to a guarantee that you're making a coin from the resources that you have. Do you think that's a relatively fair statement? Or being able to sell them at a
you'll be able to trade it for something.
Or trade, yeah, sure. There'll be a currency in some form.
It'll be like a soft currency or something like that, for sure.
Where Codas, and I'm bullish on Codas. We legitimately have no clue. You know what I mean? So like if you're gonna spend the same amount, let's say 30 ETH is what you have. Safer play, I think probably resources. But it's just because the way you just said it's the ETH is like I'm thinking now like resources, even if I lose a little bit and they go down, I'm still like there's gonna be that soft currency that if I'm diligent about what I'm doing, that's continually there. Coda, I'm hoping on and speculating on here's another shoe that's dropping and they're going to be uber important and this is why. And it's going to be able to bring you all these things that are valuable, right?
Yeah. I mean, for all we know, Codas is like our sewer passes, the different tiered sewer passes where Codas give you a boost on your, production rate or whatever for your artifact or your resources. I mean, there's so many different ways that they could go about it. We have no clue.
And that's again like what Will was saying just made sense to me because I feel like resources you can get like it's kind of like you can see in your brain where I'm going to get ETH out of that or whatever. I'm going to get a currency out of that pretty much guaranteed. Codas at this point, I don't know like when I'll get it and if it's more or less or even.
I would say though for resources, there's still for me personally, there's still too much unknown. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Like, is this 3 times the amount of production or is this because in that aspect,
the
it becomes
sediment tier specifically. You think?
No, we're talking about like
no,
if you have
like
tier 1,
like
Lumni League, tier 2,
tiers.
Lumni League, tier 3. Because the way I kind of thought about it too, as a different route, other than just production volume. What if your tier 1 resource makes tier 1 weapons and tier 1 stuff, and then your tier 3 resources make tier 3 weapons, which are obviously better than tier 1 weapons.
And that gets
like
complicated
again, we don't even know what the resources
because we have so many dang resources that it's like, okay, what are you gonna need, right? If you have a chaos resource on your land, is that like the golden goose? And you're like, yo, I don't need anything. So, what's his name? I think his Twitter name is Rich Poor.
I know who you're talking about.
He is a huge resource collector. He favors the chaos resources. And essentially we were talking about it. It was kind of like, if you have a stockpile of chaos resources, the likelihood that you can just for like anything you need, you can just trade for because you have the top tier resource is like significantly higher than the rest, right? You're not going to get like a bog environment land and be like, I can trade my resource from the bog land for fucking anything, right? Like, but if you have one of the premium resources, there is a good chance that it will hold some level of value to the point where if you need something to build out a XYZ on your land and the other side, you can trade and swap and do all those things to get into the resource you do need.
It'll be interesting too, because I think I've briefly seen it on Twitter of people like monopolizing certain resources. They're like, I'm going to buy all of this type of resource. And I could definitely see somebody like Machi or Franklin with large enough bags coming in and being like, oh, all those Degradia resources? Well, they're now mine.
Yeah. Stockpiling and like cornering the market.
That would look, yeah.
Dude, the one thing that I think is just absolutely insane is nobody.eth, man. Holy
my God.
shit.
Surprised he hasn't bought the key yet.
This person
has got a bag.
Unlimited ETH, apparently. Unlimited.
Unlimited.
You go to the ATM and it just says as much as you want to the ETH.
Withdraw all.
As much as you can handle.
We can't type a number that big.
Speaking of the key, thoughts on UpDAO officially voting to spend up to 690 ETH on a bid?
I think the people who were sitting there putting in the proposals and whatever, they were just like, we just need some level of something going on for our project. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's if you're a Pixel Vault holder, I mean, shit, man, you've been through it.
Yes.
Through it. And that's, a lot of people want to throw shade at G-Funk and all that stuff. I mean, I saw him speak with, I think, where were we, Bryce? We were at the Future Proof event or something like that.
Yeah.
And we saw him speak at NFT NYC. Like, I think that he clearly has a vision for what he's trying to build. I think it's just it takes significantly more time than the rest. And then the questionable, like, why did we have this drop kind of thing thrown in the mix there too? I'm just like, okay.
The planets shit, dude, where there's like a million of them bitches. Like, what the?
But like, I
I feel
thought
like
at
part of
some
that's
point,
also the beanie influence of get as much liquidity from the market as you can and then build.
I
Oh,
wasn't going to say that, but I do agree with that statement.
the beanie influence.
But getting liquidity from the market, I mean, if you have 100,000 piece collection, I mean, look at other side right now.
Yeah.
Those deeds
Yeah,
are turning over. Even if it's 0.5%, enforced royalties, that'll equate to more sales in a day with 0.5% than if, we were back without all this fun liquidity stuff to go dump into
Right.
and bid on. So
let's see.
I don't know.
Opinions. Pay for a top 2K companion score. How do you think they will be used and valued?
I think it's a great question, to be honest with you.
Oh, goodness.
And
One that
Bryce,
we
you were,
don't
you,
really
you were
know
talking
about.
about it. Can you just mention again, Bryce, at the beginning of the show, you're kind of talking about the tweet that you had seen about the companions and kind of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the tweet real quick. But it was from Garga saying that it'll basically just be a trait on your power source, right? So it's not going to be at least we don't think yet, it's not going to be a separate NFT like a dog type companion. It'll just be like on your other deeds, Coda, yes, no. It'll just be like companion, yes, no.
Right.
So in terms of like actual value there, that's really hard to say. I mean, a little bit above the floor, 0.2, 0.5, who knows? I mean, my guess is they'll probably all be 1 ETH above the floor as soon as we get them, just because people are crazy. But then, yeah, no clue if like we'll be able to decouple them later or what. But as of right now, it just seems like it's a trait on your power source.
Didn't the tweet say something about like they're attracted to the power sources and we're not sure why? Wasn't that kind of along the lines on that tweet?
Yeah, I mean, that graphic kind of showed them like mobbing the power source.
Right. So that's, I mean, I don't know what to think. I'm still, I'm super I'm not bullish. I'm just like gonna FOMO the shit into one though. If you see that evolution of them, like changing from the little blob thing to like this flying meditation thing that looks like a damn Pokemon, just because they look dope. But like again, I don't know what they're gonna be used for. Like maybe they're literally just like they look cool. They do like nothing special to your power source. They just look different. Like what would be the most you would pay someone? Let's say they're not cheating, for a fact 1000% they're not going to cheat. This person personally, they're a freaking awesome gamer. How much would be your max amount you would spend? And the answer could be 0, by the way.
I'd probably go like 0.2.
I don't know.
That would probably be my max before I'm like, is it really worth it? I don't know.
You don't want to get banged around the sewer.
No, dude.
Not really.
I don't want to get banged.
Well, that's also just relative to my bag size, right? Like if I had, fuck you, ETH, I'd probably be like,
if you had nobody ETH, man, you'd be like, I'd pay $50,000 for it.
Yeah, right. No problem. But yeah, 0.2 is probably my max. And even then, that's I don't know.
What's your take, Will? I got to hear it on companions. Are you bullish or bearish on companions?
I mean, at this point, it's very much cosmetic. That's
what to say. Yeah, it's like a nothing burger.
Here's the thing: I would love to get one by me winning one, right? Like that to me would be more fun, more meaningful, more whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of how we've all played that, though, right? Like we've talked about that numerous times. That like we want to be the ones playing our passes and getting whatever that score is. And I'm like completely in agreement with you, Will, that like whatever I get, like I'm going to be happy because I did it. I didn't fucking pay somebody to do it. And this is the reason I thought it was a good question is because I knew this would be the case. Like if you guys are right, the gamers are overcharging because I'm guessing, complete guess, that a gamer's probably asking for like an ETH or two. Like I think that's very likely.
I mean, and more power to them, right?
Yeah.
If you can convince enough people to go ahead and give you an ETH, and the market hasn't even spoken how much these are worth. I mean, I've got no problem with gamers coming in here and
Making a bag.
essentially making a bag.
You playing a
Great.
game right now, Will?
I am playing a game.
Yeah,
right
I
now,
can tell this
I can
motherfucker.
see the light on your face. Like,
This
oh,
cat is tripping out for real.
Yo, I'm tripping, bro. I'm just
you're
fucking
charging
tripping.
2.5.
I just had my worst toad
That's
mode
crazy.
run. Thanks, guys.
2.5 is crazy to me.
More than
That's
so they're charging the
craziness.
cost of the sewer pass for a toad. That's wild.
Yeah, I'm not getting no. I mean, we have a week, right? I mean, it's not like 3 weeks. By the end, think about it. The Dookie Dash scores got higher the more time people had to play it. So we only have a week. Get in there this weekend, crank it out. Get your practice runs in, spend your ape coin, try and make it down the sewer. I mean, we kind of know what we're capable of because we just spent 3 weeks doing it. The big wild card is going to be, okay, how long do you want to spin your wheels trying to get the most toads, which I mean, until there's some kind of alpha on how to get more toads, I don't know.
Power sharding, does it give you more rare toads? I assume,
Yes.
but no.
It does.
It does.
From the FAQ page, it does.
Okay, I obviously didn't read it well. I glanced at it. 2.5 feels like a lot though, because like that means that companion then has to hold a floor above 2.5. That seems really steep.
Yeah, and then mix that on top with like well, you don't know if I don't know. I guess it depends too what the original score is. I did think it was interesting though that all of these not NA scores essentially get their one chance at redemption here, but then they get basically booted to the back of the line, which makes me think like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Like if you got a score and you got a good score, then you're going before other people, essentially is what it seemed like. So I don't know how the actual summoning will take place, because like it seems like a scheduling nightmare trying to figure out, okay, you got first place, you go first. You got second place, you go second, right? Like,
get in line, chaps.
So maybe it's by buckets, right? First 100 people go. First, 300 people go, et cetera, et cetera.
It's gonna be a Top Shot freaking line queue, which is gonna bring back nightmares. I'm gonna start shaking, thinking about sitting in the queue for 4 hours with a chance of getting a shitty NBA Top Shot moment.
Yeah, no queues, please. That does not sound ideal.
Please.
No. I just think, again, going back to a conversation we had a couple weeks ago, I do think like what you're saying with the buckets, I think that makes sense, because I really do truly believe like number 2 to number, let's just say 500, it's all going to be like relatively the same thing. In my opinion, this is my opinion. I could be fucking wrong, but I think like it's all going to be relative, or maybe it's 2 to 100, whatever that is. And then 100 to 500 is relatively similar, and 501 to 2000 is relatively similar, and so forth. Because otherwise, yeah, like this would take forever if it's not like, if it's very like weighted. I don't know, like, dude, we're gonna have the queue of hell. Thankfully,
yeah, it ain't gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see these power sources. If it's like there's 1 out of 50, 1 out of 100, or if it's like, here is 30, 1 out of 10Ks. Good luck. Like, just pick one.
Yeah, for real.
Or 1 out of 1K. I mean, but you know what I mean.
I do. Will's in the zone. He's getting trippy for real.
Yeah, just got a mid score on the toad mode. So
what's mid, so I know not to tell you and feel good about myself if I get that?
I got 2,500 toad mode.
What's your high score so far? I know it just came out today.
I think I got a run that was 3K or something like that.
Bryce,
it was pretty close to being in the 2,000. So I was happy about that. I'm like, cool, okay.
I've played like 5 games, and my current score, let me see, is I actually have to play a run in order to.
You're fine. Doesn't matter. Somewhere
about to do.
between 0 and 3,000.
So
I'm definitely past 3,000.
Okay.
Oh, shit. So we
I
spent
got really
about
lucky on my one run.
400,000 ape coin during
I think you were about to say now,
during
within the first few
whatchamacallit.
hours. I was like, bro, what? Yeah, I've
Dude, I
gotten
kinda wanna buy a power shard
3,042. 3,042 toad, which is ranked 2,286. So still not even in the top 2K.
It's definitely going to be like
Crazy.
10,000 plus, which is absurd to think about. You're
Most
just going to
likely.
have
I
to
was
get
talking
dumb.
to Will about it earlier. With this toad mode, since it, A, you're time limited, and B, the toads are moving around and you're flying, bouncing off objects, it seems like, the majority of these companion traits are going to go to the ape tier 3, tier 4 passes that are boosted rather than a tier 1, tier 2. If the base boosts also increase your number of toad spawn and whatnot.
And I mean, when you guys had done that XL breakout before Dookie Dash started, you guys had already been on top of this. It was like, with the percentage the way it is, having a tier 4 is gonna, or 3, like you're gonna be a very good chance that you're in the top 1,000 or wherever it was, top 500, just naturally, especially if you're boosted. So like the boosted plus the tier 3, tier 4 should be the top scores, and that makes sense though too, right? Like that, I feel like that makes sense.
Well, I feel like this is also kind of the little nudge to BAYC holders, like a slight little here you go. Right, because this isn't a, you can't have a tier 1 and be absolutely cracked at toad mode. I don't think, at least. And
I
if
mean,
you
unless
are,
if you just like
teach me.
magically catch everything, but
Like, I wonder what the high score will be, truly. Because, like, I don't even know how, like, there's going to be someone that gives alpha on, or maybe they don't because they get really good and they're like, fuck that, I'm not telling
You're gonna
anybody.
sell it for 2.5 ETH.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I don't know how do you get like 10,000? That seems just absurd at this moment, but I'm sure
Boot
it'll happen
and hit
a million
every
times.
single toad you see.
Another thought, what is your thought about boosting during the toad mode as much as you can, because then you're at least blasting through the shit that you're bouncing around with?
So that's what I thought at first, and then I started boosting and I wasn't hitting a single toad, so I was like, F this.
You got 0 toad.
For real, I was like, I'm just gonna sit here and spam the boost because I'm just bouncing off obstacles left and right, and it was by far my lowest toad score.
So that is not the alpha. Last
Not
little
yet,
bit of
at least.
speculation. I know that we need to call it a night here in a minute or two. Interesting to see pass will be burned. I think a lot of people thought we might keep them for future activations. Also means you could have bought a flagged one and not had to worry about it. Thoughts on that? Burning of passes?
True. The big thing is we don't know when we're burning them, right? Are we burning them at the summoning? Is that when we're getting this power source?
I believe so, yes.
Then I mean, they're still going to have to maintain that same trait of the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4.
True.
Because what's his name? The Yuga Gaming chief gaming officer or whatever.
Everyday Zucchini.
Spencer, thank you. Everyday Zucchini. He said that your tier boost will still be used later on, which makes me think, I mean, they're going to have to keep track of it some way.
The evolutions too, right? Like I think that'll come into play. Those tiers will definitely matter then. So it'll be interesting. March 8th is when the summoning is, I think.
Yep,
which
that should be what,
fun
two
fact
days?
Is one day after my birthday. It almost fell on my birthday, which would have been dope as hell. So
sick.
One day after, I'll be
now you get to celebrate and then celebrate again.
Yeah, lots of celebration all week, just celebrating. I'm excited though. I'm definitely ready for like the next part of this. Like this is fun. Like the toad mode is fun to have Dookie Dash back for a week. But then I'll be honest, I'm ready to like look into the mechs and get more information on that. And I'm definitely ready for second trip, which is obviously here coming within the next 35, 40 days. A lot to be excited about in March, I would say.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot to be excited about for a lot of things in this.
Yes, I agree.
So it's
pretty
very
cool.
exciting time. I definitely I was touching grass a lot the last like 6 or 7 months, and the last week or so I've been dipping my toe back in. going ham. Will said something, but his mic's muted.
This idiot's tripping on toads, bro.
Still talking to himself.
He's lost. He's lost in the sewer.
He's lost in the toad.
Lost in the sauce.
Oh.
No, I agree. Thanks for the compliment there, McDugget. We appreciate you for real. This is always fun. We're a little bit wiped. That's just natural of life right now. Springtime's always a little bit crazy in the school system, and I am feeling it. Baseball season is up and running. But again, I'm excited for the space. Minus frenzies. Fuck you guys. This fucking rug and deleting your Twitter. I'm not in that, but that was like saw it from a mile away. That's the one thing I'll say is with the 0 royalties happening now and being standard pretty much, or feeling like it's going to be the standard, you're going to see a lot of projects die with over, I don't know, the next, like, in my opinion, 3 to 6 months. And these are ones that are probably not even. I just think these are projects that aren't even in your like rear view mirror potentially, but it's a project that maybe came out in 2021 or maybe even 2022. And they're just gonna just run out of runway because they didn't actually build a business. They're just hoping for royalties forever. Like I think you're gonna see more of it. And
yeah, looks like we're the space is trying to run Proof out of business too.
Okay, really quick for real. So the DAO thing that they're doing or setting up community, doesn't that sort of feel like let's set this joker up to be like, see you later. After like, doesn't it feel like that? Like they're just getting this thing ready to roll.
Yep. Yeah, we listened to his town hall last week, and it was just not good.
I listened to him on Eddie and Rudo's space the day that they canceled Proof, and that space got botted to hell. It was like 3,000 people listening or something. Man, it was not good though. Just like the response.
He was complaining. He was like, "Oh, we don't have royalties, and then it's too much pressure when people buy in high and they have high expectations and yada yada yada." And I just hate when people, have to sell for a loss. And I'm like, who the fuck cares? Just drive value to your project. Like that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Nope, we can't get that.
And this is what, again, random PFP projects with no actual business behind it, no capital defense, they'll fail and quick. And that's exactly, you're going to see it. And to be honest, it'll be better for the space long term. It really will, because you're going to wash out the people that were just here for a quick buck, and you're going to have more like focused energy on these projects and protocols and teams that are doing really, really dope stuff. And it'll exponentially grow. What's up, Ava? Apparently she woke up from her nap. And with that, Will is still in the sewer on mute, tripping out on some toads. So appreciate everyone that came through. This was a good stream. Bryce, good to talk to you as always, my friend. I love the trippy hat. I'm jealous, 1,000% jealous. Any last thoughts as we bid adieu for this week?
No. Let's get ready for second trip, summoning, licking the toad, and the Legend of Mara.
Yes, Legend of Mara. Very excited about that as well. So
we
with
have
that,
so much to look forward to. So we will be here next week,
digesting it all, enjoying it all, and hanging with y'all. This is BoredTV. We love you, and we're out.
Peace.